Hello everyone. In this video, you're going to learn how to populate an empty CMDB in ServiceNow without discovery tools. In this case, we are going to use a spreadsheet with multiple classes or target tables by only giving a single click in ServiceNow. How you can do this? We will use for this lab a resource called robust transform maps. A part of that, you're also understanding the concept of data source, import set, and also we are going to talk about asset records. All of these topics will be covered in this video. So let's get started by showing the CMDB is empty. So how you can do this? I can go to my favorite here and I have my basic configuration items. It's actually a shortcut if I would type cmdb.list and application filter. So it's the same results. All right, I have only one single record here, but actually is not related to hardware item. Don't worry about this. Let's consider this CMDB empty in terms of hardware items. And also, let's go to the asset tables. It's another tables. Focus on asset control. It's also empty. Okay. On the other hand, I have in my local machine, let me show you here, I have one simple Excel document. As I mentioned, I have here a document called configuration items hardware. Why? It's because all of record here in this document is related to hardware items. Here you're going to see some a couple hardware items. So let's see category by category. So here we have three what? Three routers. It's actually a network component. It's a hardware component. The same for firewalls. It's a three components, three items. Then we have three Windows servers. Also here, more three network items, three AIX server, three Linux server, and two Unix server, right? Well, here we are going to populate only few records by putting serial number and let's keep the other as empty. And here we have the target classes. It means these records must be placed, stored in this out of the box ServiceNow tables. The same for firewalls and etc. So actually all of these tables makes part of ServiceNow standard installation. I mean, it was not created by myself. It's already there. I just choose as the best and appropriate table to store this data. So when you manage CMDB, you need to make this this knowledge. Which table in CMDB is the best to store my CI record. But as you see, the name itself suggests the kind of CI, the type of CI. For example, CMDB underline underscore CI underscore router. Router means what? Router. Okay, but firewall. It's not actually IP firewall. It's a hardware file. It's equipment. It's electronic equipment. So that's why I put here in firewall network. It's not in IP firewall because IP firewall is something virtual. So here is hardware. All of these hidden here, they are hardware. They are electronic stuffs. So Windows Server is not dedicated only for hardware. Sometimes I can also put a virtual machine here, a virtual server, because I can have a Windows Server in virtual VMware as well, right? But okay, let's understand this table as being for both. We don't have any Windows Server table uh, only for VM or only for hardware. It's something that you need to clarify better in the attributes of this table. In this table, you have an attribute called is virtual or not. If you say yes, okay, so you know this Windows Server was built on a virtual machine like a VMware, but otherwise it's a physical server. The same for all others operation systems like AIX server, Linux, and Unix. Okay, so they can be either physical or virtual. You can double check and is virtual field in each of this table. Okay, now I have an extra field here, but it's for what? It's used for asset tables. So try to understand this column from A to E. This information is related to CMDB. And here is not for CMDB, it's for asset table. But we are going to load in ServiceNow only this column, and this column. So all other are here, just a reference. Just my this one is only for my own reference. It's not actually being mapped to anything in ServiceNow. Okay? It's not because I can see all of this field here because I needed to map all them. I can map only one or two fields. Doesn't matter. I can put whatever I want here for my control. And I prefer leave here. I'm going to explain why you you we decided to put this field here because we are going to use this information because before you load this data in ServiceNow, we needed to prepare a table called model category. In the model category, we needed to know what is the category names we need to be defined in this category to receive this information in asset table. It's very important you understand this step must be done before we load the data in CMDB, not after. So let's keep this way by now, and then we are going to understand better when we go to the PDI. Let's focus here in the letter B. Why we have this? Okay, so as you see, we have a multiple CIs, and also we have multiple classes. How you can load all of the CIs for multiple classes at one single load. It's possible by using robust transforming maps. And robust transforming maps needs a reference to know where I'm going to place this record, which table, where. So how you can inform and teach to robust transforming map where are the target of each CI. So we can do that by using a transform script. And this transform script will base it on field as reference. In this case, this field is used by robust transforming maps to understand whatever is in the records. If case this record has this word halter as reference, I'm going to put this record, place this record in on this table. Whatever we have here, no matter the amount of fields, if this line, if this row, there are words halter in this type table, I'm placing all of this in halter table, right? The same for others. So that's why we need to create this. We actually could put any word here. It's only string as a reference. But to be organized, let's keep it standard by put the same name in all. So let's focus on these three important tables. This one is used by robust transform maps script. It's a reference field to know the target of classes or tables. This one is the database name. It's not it's not a label name, right? It's the database name itself. As you see, we have underscore here. CMDB underscore, it means it's some technical, right? It's not so something you can view and on the screen of ServiceNow. On the screen, you usually see labels. But here, you need to know exactly this table names in database, in CMDB database. And here, all you need is a simple name. So, as I said, likewise here, we could put any name here, right? No matter. Likewise here, you can put anything, but it's, by convenience, it's much better when you put some name here. People understand what what type of records exist inside this, what type of assets exist into this category. So Windows means what? Windows Server. I could type here Windows Server, no problem. But Windows means Windows Server. Or I can also replace here for Windows Server as well. To, to any people, any person who don't understand so much about asset will not uh, will not making any confusion what Windows means. Okay, perfect. Now another observation here. When you load this, all of this data to ServiceNow, it will be firstly in a data source area. It does not go directly to CMDB. It will be there, and then we will still need to uh, across some stages until this information get to these tables. And once it's finally stored here, ServiceNow will run a job internally and replicate all of this to asset tables. But it will not happen if the model category is not properly configured. So that's why module category is very important to be configured before you don't just load it here. Well, once it's done, we are going to see the same records in CMDB. We are going to see where? In asset tables. But the asset has much more than one table. That is asset table, that is asset hardware tables. And all of these records are hardware. So that's why you are putting all of this information where? In asset hardware is not instead of assets. Okay? So where you define this? You define a module category. Module category you ask either for the source, in this case, this class, and the target will be what? Asset table. So let's just replicate here for our control and put here asset. Asset what? Asset hardware. Perfect. Hardware. So the module category is a table to say, well, everything that is recorded here, replicate this data for this table under asset hardware. Likewise here, everything is stored here, replicated automatically to asset hardware and for others as well. So that's why we need to do that before we load this data. Now, for example, let's pretend for any reason we forgot to create a Windows category here. What is going to happen after you create these 3 Windows servers for this table, right? So if you forget to put this, I mean, if you forgot to put the Windows servers in the module category, what is going to happen at the end of the day? All these CIs will be replicated to here. All the CIs will be replicated to here except Windows Server. Windows Server, these 3 Windows Server will be placed only in CR classes and not only asset hardware. Okay, but I forgot, just let me put here. What is going to happen? No way. So it only will be created at the moment you create it here. So by default, it will only won't be created by here. If you needed to do this after, you need to do some other solution, but not the standard ones. So that's why it's recommended you always create the category before load this data. It's pretty important. Okay, perfect. Let's leave this way. I like this. Let's leave this way by simulating someone forgot to add the Windows category here to see the results. Perfectly. The first thing, what are we gonna do? Let's see, let's review, let's recap if you understood so far. We are going to leave this screen here and we're going to shift and go to PDI. What is the first step? What is the first thing you need to do there? Is go to model category. Okay, so let's go to the model category. Okay, model category. And here we can group by name. And let's check AIX exists there. Yes, here. Okay, perfect. What else? Firewall. Firewall. Yes. So let me put it in green here. Just make us to understand the same here. Firewall. Firewall is here. Let's see what is the next. Linux. What is Linux? Here. Okay, perfect. We have Linux too. What else? Router. Do we have a router here? Yes, router is here. Do we have Windows Server? Okay, we have Windows Server here as well. Windows Server. Windows Server is there. Okay, Windows. Windows Server. That was the name. It was supposed to be here. Windows Server is here. Let's put orange here. Right? Let's put orange here. And let's simulate you will not add what? Unix. Okay? Instead. Okay. So here we are going to have at the end of the day we are going this and switch. Do you have switch? No, we don't have switch here. So let's create a switch. Firstly, in order to create a switch, we need to have a single information. What is the table name in ServiceNow? CMDB CI IP switch. Okay, let's copy this and let's create here a new category. Okay, here let's call this switch or switches, no matter. And the CI class, we need to put what? That table, right? In CMDB table. And asset class is the target table. Which table you should to store this? Well, it's actually what? It's hardware, right? Because we don't want to put this here in asset. It's not consumable, it's not facility, it's not license, it's hardware. So submit here. Now we have switches. So switch done. We don't have Unix. We don't have Unix. So what is the expected results in this case? When you load this Excel to ServiceNow, ServiceNow will create these two Linux here in CMDB table, but will not replicate it to asset header because we didn't add here this Unix category. All right, so let's close this and let's close everything. Now we needed to load that. You needed to load that document to the service now. How you can do this? You come here and type load data. And the load data, it will ask you for us what? Look, pay attention here. We can put any name you want here. Okay? So like put like CI hardware. For example, as you can see below, he's creating a name. If any name I put here, for example, if I put Excel, it will add another word. So whatever put a space here in another word, it's replacing my space by underline. Okay? So any name I can put here. What is gonna happen with this? What is it for? It's because whenever you load a Excel file from our local machine to the ServiceNow will upload this file to a ServiceNow repository. Beside of that, ServiceNow will create an internal table, a virtual table with a similar name, right? It starts by u underscore. And then once it's done, once this table is created, once this file is uploaded, we have to follow another step. I'm going to show you later on. Why now? Let's only load this. After I click and submit, it will reflect where? It will reflect in another place in ServiceNow called DataSource. In DataSource, we have import set in DataSource. Let's come here. Well, actually, that's the real upload. It was done before this training, but actually, I just point to this uh, this this document, and it come here and the management attachment, and come here, and a table was created to that spreadsheet. Okay, great. So as you see here, if I come to manage attachments, configuration IT hardware is actually this the one I have, configuration IT hardware. So this spreadsheet was uploaded to data source. It's here. Okay, it's here. Well, and also what I have here, we have a import set table name. Remember I said ServiceNow creates one internal virtual table. It's called import set with the same structure of the spreadsheet. But we need to transfer the data from the Excel, not Excel from our machine, but that Excel is already there in ServiceNow repository in SAS. And you need to transfer and load this, not transfer, but load this data from this table to this table, from this spreadsheet, from this table. And you can do this by using load all records. Or if you want, you can do by loading only the 20 records as first from this. But in this case, I want to load all. Okay, at this moment, what's gonna happen? ServiceNow load all of records from that spreadsheet already there in ServiceNow repository and put it in this virtual table card import set. And it creates a record. It was create a record for ServiceNow control. It's called import set record. Let's see here the import set record. The import set record is started by IESC. It's a kind of ticket, okay? And say, okay, so the state is I was able to load all of content of your spreadsheet to my virtual table. If you click here, you can see all of rows from this table that is loaded to this virtual table. Let's see. So, okay, as you see, my spreadsheet has what? Had 20 rows, right? All 20 rows it was important to this table. But actually here, I cannot visualize and see the content of uh, my my spreadsheet because that's not the idea for import set. Import sets only to say here the amount of rows that it was important and what is the status of each row. It's pending. What pending means? Pending means, okay, let's stop here. Let's give a pause. What is what is the goal of this exercise you are going to do here? It's load the data from our local machine to CMDB, right? So what you did so far, we only loaded this, this information from our local machine to import set. Import set is not CMDB. Import set is a table before CMDB. It does not have any relation with the CMDB. Total separately, okay? The fields is different, the structure is different, everything is different. So it's called pending because the next step is transfer all this information to CMDB. So that's why it's called pending. But how you transfer this information from import set to CMDB? Let's go back here, right? So you cannot do it by here. It's only to show you the amount of rows that you import to set, to import set table. Import set table is actually a virtual table. So if you want to see the data itself, you must come here. Here we are going to show actually the content of spreadsheet and ServiceNow repository called DataSource to this virtual table called import set. Here is exactly the data. So here, what I have here, here I have my rows, right? Exactly my rows. I have my routers, my three routers, my Linux, everything. And also remember that field from import set. So this table has a view that brings that field here. And you can view by here. And also we can see that import set record common to all lines. And all lines as pending. Look what interesting here. The next step is what? You're going to transform this data here before you send across to CMDB tables. It's because, how CMDB will know where and what is the source and what is the target record for each all of this information. So we need another stage to say to ServiceNow, hey, everything we see here in the name field, you add to name in CMDB. Everything you see Serie is not in English. Everything you see Serie you put in serial number in Excel. That's why transform comes to the picture here, right? Through do this from and to. But beside of that, what is very interesting because my data it's already in Excel. Okay, but despite of it's not yet in CMDB, it's already here. It means if I come here and double click here and change everything, anything here, for example, let me add some X here. Okay, I will add some X just for fun. Look, this information now is different than my original one. But that's fine, no problem. Because ServiceNow will not using anymore my local spreadsheet. Okay? Because it's already loaded to ServiceNow memory, let's say like that, memory, or any other physical way to stop this. So it's something internal ServiceNow, which means all of this information in this state, in this condition, will be transferred to CMDB tables. And once it's done, the status of each one of this line will be as processed. Processed means it was no longer in here in asset table, and the information is no longer available to leave from import set to go to CMDB. That's what the process means. Okay? Well, unless we create another import set. So this import set, after you use this once, you cannot reuse for the second time. Okay? Okay, so now let's go back to this. So let's recap here. Remember when we in this screen, when you what did you do to achieve this screen? We click on load data, right? Remember, we click on load data, and the load data we had two choices, or load the first 20 rows or the entire content of my data source spreadsheet to import set, and you select what? Load all data. So no matter if you have 1,000 lines, it goes at once because it was our choice. And you reach this screen. So it means process mean you cannot confuse the process with there is a that it's you need to pay attention what process means. Process in this case means we were able to transfer file from data source to import set. It's considered process, but it was processed, but it does not mean it is in CMDB. It is still pending. Okay, so now you're definitely transfer this all of these 20 files, 20 lines here, 20 rows to CMDB by using what? A transformation stage. So if I click here, there is a single button. It's not complicated, and it will what? It will transfer all data from import set to from this import set, okay, using this transform staging and send across to CMDB. Okay, it's done. So now if I go back here to that same import set records, look, all of those records, 20 records, went to CMDB, and that's why the state now is as processed. See, what process mean? It means it was in service now. It was sent to service now. Each one of this line was sent to service now. And I cannot do that again. If I want to do this, once again, I need to create a reprocess. That's why I needed to send all of these rows as pending as first, and then when I transform, it will become a process. So let's go to CMDB and see the results. I will show you CMDB now. CMDB has what now? CMDB has all of this record here. And remember we put some X and AIX. Let's see if a lot of X is there. Can you see here? It's proof that this information did not come from my Excel local file. It comes from virtual table called import set. That I was able to modify that before this information across to was sent across to CMDB. Okay, right. So let's pretend I want to repeat this process. I want to repeat once again. So I I don't have here the button transform because ServiceNow will not allow me transforming because it was already transforming. So if I need to do this once again, I needed to what? I needed to reprocess. After I reprocess, what happened? See, now all of those all of those lines was revert back to pending. Okay, so I'm actually using this same. I'm using this same. So as you see here, we are still using the same import set, but now we have what? We have it's available now, and the transform is already here to send across once again. So with a transform here, you take me to robust transformer. If I click here, what is gonna happen? Nothing, because I didn't modify anything. All of the records are exactly the same in CMDB. So I will keep with all of this here. Basic configuration item will not increase it for, you know, it's exactly the same. Exactly the same. So I can do this how many times I want. Okay, so import set is there available for me. I can reprocess anytime. So let's pretend I did a modification here. I will do a modification here in my local spreadsheet by simulating something was changed in data center and I wanted to replace here. Well, I can either using this one, but I can also do a trick here. So instead of I modify this for my Excel control as well, my local control, I can just create a second here and I can put here like for example one of these servers is no longer there. So someone decided to don't use uh, don't use uh, don't use these two firewalls, and it was removed out from the data center. So what am I going to do here? I'm going to remove. Let's remove this. Let me just remove this. Okay, I'm not able to remove that. No problem. So what you thinking? Oi. Okay, let's go back here. As I mentioned, let's remove some two firewalls and let's keep only one. Okay, let's save this and let's close. So this copy has another name here, right? Hardware copy. But I don't need it to rename. I can put any name here. Doesn't matter. Because when I revert back here to my data source, okay, that's my import set was created based on my first time upload. In the first time upload, that was the original name of my spreadsheet. But doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. What matter for me is I'm going to I'm going to add data to this import set. So no matter the name of file here, I can go here and manage and remove this existing one and I'm add what? I'm add that one called what? copia. It's not because I change the name of file. The service now will not map to my import set, right? Because the structure of table is the same, exactly the same. So doesn't matter the name I put here. Now I'm going to load all records once again, and now it will create another import set. Now the last time my import set was 75, and now is, see, before that, see, it was processed only 18 because I removed two lines, right? Okay, so let's see import set. It was created what? A 76. It, it loaded. It loaded my 18 lines for this import set. So let's try to remember what happened when you open this. It will open 18 rows as pending, right? See, 18 row as pending. It shows 17 because it starts from the 0. So which means the line 1 for Excel, I mean, 1 is for title, right? For header. So the line 2 of ServiceNow here is represented by the letter 0 and so on. Okay, see, now I have here the option to transform it. So when I transform it, I'm going to send information from my import set to CMDB. All right, so all of them was shifted to processed. Okay, great. But for now, I will not do once again because it's not required. Now I want to see what is going to happen with my CMDB. Let's go back here and basic configuration item. So before you click here, do you think I'm going to have 20 records or 18 records? If you said 18 records, you were not correct. Because, you know, ServiceNow will never remove CIs automatically, not just because it was no longer found. Because the CI has a life here that is a historic. So imagine how many change records were raised for this, how many incidents was raised for this, and it makes a part of this historic of the CI. So it was actually uh, retired in data center. We know that because it is no longer in our data source. But it does not mean it must be removed from here. It must keep here forever. We cannot delete. Never. Never you delete NCI. Never. Because it's for audit purpose. It must be here forever. So what you can do in this case, that's why there is here installer. Installer must pass to he titled. But how you can know when it happens? So it's it's complicated when we don't have a discovery tools. Because if you have a discovery tools, we're going to have here most recent, there is a most recent uh, record here, record no, fields, sorry, that you show, oh, this hardware is no longer detected by discovery process. So let's move this for another stage, not for production anymore, not for installed. But when you do that by Excel, it's not the case, right? So let's see here in updates. Let's see if there is any difference in this. What is firewall? So Let's organize it by firewall here. Okay, let's put these three ones. Okay, so here each will not help us, right? This one else will not help us. So we don't have anything you can do here to understand that these two were no longer here. That's why uh, it's very complicated when you load the data from uh, Excel to CMDB, right? It's not a deep recovery tools actually. So that's why you need always compare the Excel with CMDB, and if there is some difference, we need to go manually here and shift it to retitled. Okay, perfect. So now let's go to the another table I said at the beginning. It's called LLM assets. It was empty, remember? So let's put here the child, not the parent. Doesn't matter if put the parent child, we are going to same the results, but let's go direct to the child and see. Well, remember I said we didn't create Linux, right? We didn't create Linux category. So we create everything except Unix. So that's why Unix was the Linux CI were not replicated to asset table. So in this case, the asset team, ITAM team, ITAM team will not be able to what? To manage the life cycle of Unix server because we forgot to, proposally, we forgot to create a Unix category before loading. So, oh, let's create now. Okay, no way. Even if we create now, it will not replicate it here anymore. Okay, so it must be right at the first time. Maybe there is some other ways to do this, but actually it needs to be discussed in ServiceNow community to know how to replicate those to here because they are actually synchronized. All of this record here replicated to this table is synchronized with CMDB somehow. It means when you change something here in this table, it will reflect your CMDB table as well. For example, look, can you see here why it's as unknown here? Why the model is an unknown here? Okay, because when you create that and when you create this GCIs in CMDB, we only put what? We only put the name, configuration, item name. It's here, right? So there is a view from CMDB. So this hardware table is not from CMDB, right? It does not have it does not make it part of CMDB tables. So hardware tables, it's asset tables. It's another group of tables in ServiceNow. But it brings one field from CMDB tables, and this table is called name. It's actually, when you come here, you see the name, right? So this is picked by this another one, other two. Likewise here, if you see here, there is a asset field. So this asset does not belong to CMDB. It's actually a view from this hardware table, actually picking from this. So that's why you have a null here and I have unknown here. So, but It means we, if I modify something here, it will reflect here. If I modify something here, will reflect here because actually the same data, right? It's only view. But what is going to happen here is here, what is going to happen if I try to modify this value? Say, security prevents writing to this field. Oh, because I don't have access to this field because I need to ask for more grants. No, because display name is not something that we as administrator can modify this number, modify this value. It's self-populated by ServiceNow by itself. So display name picks the information from some couple fields of CMDB base configuration item tables. Which field is it? The first, the first is tags. So here I can add a tag here for each one of these CI if I want. Okay, let's see the concept behind of this to make more clear. So hardware assets, hardware assets. Okay, what is a hardware asset related hardware item? For example, we buy a computer, right? So you just bought a computer and this computer, for example, server, and the server comes in a box. So you need to unbox. It's not it's not you operating. That server does not have a name. That server does not have an operation system installed. It's as only a thing, only stuff, only an object, but needs to be tracked because it costs values. So the company spent money to buy that thing, and that's why it's considered as asset. But it's not considered a CI. CI it will be considered a CI only after that server receive at least the IP address. When someone turn on that computer and install operation system and give it a name and give an IP address and give a MAC address not because MAC address is already there, but at least IP address and a name and operation system, it's be considered as configuration item. But before that, it's only a simple asset. So that's why the hardware tables does not have name field. It only shows display name. Why it does not have name? Because the computer does not have name yet. The name will be only on it becomes a configuration item, when it will be configured to be operation in data center, not before that. But we can try to give a temporary name by using some couple information we already have. Which information we have for a computer is still into the box? We can, you can use a what? You can use a model. That computer has a model. Okay, that's we use the model to reference that equipment. What else? We can we can put a tag, right? We can put a tag. For example, this computer will be named. We will know already what will be the name of this machine after this become a operation right after it's become a configuration item. It's we have already the name here. Oh, yeah. So let's put a label. Glue a label there. Which label is this? Okay, for this machine, the label will be AIX001. Okay, so let's add here AIX001. Okay, okay, perfect. So what is going to happen if I go back now in hardware and refresh this? So the display name will start to be built. But even so, let's pretend I don't have this. I definitely don't have the name, so I don't know. But I have what? I have a model, right? I have a model. So if I come here and select the model of this, for example, it's a model. Let's put any name here. So the hardware will consider this model, no problem. Here I have the model. But if I have both, if I have a AIX tag and else, let's put in small letter, okay? And I go back to here, it will use the tag plus the model. Look, okay, that's fine. So it's something, it's a way to, you know, to make this asset with a temporary name, or not temporary, but the, it will have a name somehow, okay, based on a set tag and the model. But see, this name here is not a picked from the name. It's picked from asset tag because this display name cannot depend on configuration item name because that server will be for a couple weeks or couple month, right, into the box. I'll wait until the ITSM people be available to prepare that server to install in data center. So it will take a while to get a name. So that's why display name cannot depend on configuration item name. But the label, yes, we can put a paper label before even open the box, right? We can know the model by the invoice or by the out of the box. You can see there the model is very easy. So it's a simple information to identify a unique CI. That's why it's display name here. And see, when you are here in CMDB, right? If I refresh here and I go to the asset, like I said, the asset table is actually a view from hardware. So let's wait for a couple minutes. Look here, right? So it's a view from display name. So let's pretend uh, I am here. I am a CBGB administrator, as I know in the real life. And I want to know if my CI is under asset take control from another team, ITAM team. So if this field is populated, it's because they are really managing the CI, right? Because it's created here. But for example, this AIX here, oh, no, right? Because it's not a hardware. So that's correct. They are not supposed to manage what's something that is not hardware. So asset only for hardware. So it's fine. So everything there. So it means all of my CIs are under ITAM control. All right. So and all of them are unknown because I didn't add asset tag here in to my CIs. I didn't add model ID to my CI. So that's why the asset team will be here as a no. So that's why when you uh, will load data to CMDB as a managers, we needed to define what are these fields that must be recommended and must be mandatory because you need to think in ITAM team. Okay, so it's very uncomfortable to them to don't know the working with unknown information, right? We can help them by putting asset tag. We can help them never leave the model ideas blank because every CI has a harder model. Okay, all right. So guys, it was the class for today. We are reaching 1 hour of class. I really hope this video could make difference in your knowledge, for your knowledge. Okay, so thank you very much for wait up to the end, and I'm going to share my knowledge in the next video as well in CMDB. Bye bye. Thank you.